Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hearts of Iron 4 video, where today we're going to be taking a look at Yugoslavia, trying to get the Peter's Pride achievement, and really seeing how strong we can grow this Balkan nation in the current version. Truth be told, it's been some time since I've even played in the Balkan region, so I'm interested to see how Prince Paul is doing these days. So, taking a look at the achievement, it seems here we simply have to make Peter II our current country leader, and overthrow our uncle. It seems Prince Paul has got to go, and judging by all of these national spirits, maybe not the best country in the world right now. Starting off with Western focus, giving us King Peter. That's one small step towards our goal. It's always funny to look back through the old focus trees and see how some nations just have so few decisions compared to when you look at like modern nations, where they're filled with tons of decisions, things to do, balances of power, and then there's just Yugoslavia, just chilling. Oh, and I always forget this, make sure to actually stick on your MIO for your infantry equipment at the start of the game. A lot of nations don't have it automatically set for infantry equipment 1, so you might have to do it yourself. There you are, King Peter. So in order to get King Peter, it seems we have to move down this focus tree and end the regency. This will give Peter II as our ruler. So just go straight down, I suppose. Friendship treaty with Italy, and on to attract allied capital for the consumer goods factor, and then on to evolution, which I'm pretty sure is the historical path that you'll be following if you want to play a historical game. Lots and lots of empty building slots. As a side note, I've decided to build up infrastructure in this one state, as it's our sole source of steel, and later you get even more steel in this state. For the next 3 focuses of this focus tree, it's kind of, to me at least, very black and white. The entirety of the right options are going to be far better than the left options. There was in my mind some idea that the crushing the Ostaza could be better than this, but the political power gain in this version of Yugoslavia, because there's no like decisions to take or balance of power to play with, you don't really use political power for too much. So given the opportunity, you might as well just take the political power hit. After that, the remaining 2 focuses on the left require you to give up core territory, which is always terrible. So I think it's just going to be follow the right hand side all the way down until we end the regency. And honestly, despite the political power gain here, you can still take the constitutional philosopher and kind of mitigate some of the loss, as well as get 10 stability. And so with concessions for Macedonians done, we cannot move on to end the regency, because we have to wait a year till the 6th of September 38. I guess Peter II is just not old enough yet, despite the fact that the picture of him has him as kind of a young adult. Strange. I guess I'll take industry focuses for a year.
1 year later.
And so, after spending my time moving down an entire industry tree, imagine getting 5 research slots in 1938. That is just crazy, isn't it, South America? Anyway, so after I went down the industry tree, we can finally go over and start doing End the Regency. With any luck, this sets us on our path for an achievement. Also, we have 46 steel in Morava. I really do feel like building infrastructure here has to be worth it. Oh, and there we go. Peter's Pride, as Peter II of Yugoslavia, overthrow our uncle. Who knew it could be that easy to become 5 from Umbrella Academy? Of course, truth be told, I didn't really do anything for that achievement. I mean, I just went down a focus tree. Surely that's not the most fun you can have as Yugoslavia, right? If anything, Peter II could be quite boring compared to the legend of King Paul. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Kings of Paul 4. Today we're going to be playing Yugoslavia and going for an aggressive expansionist conquest to get what could be the maximum cause of Yugoslavia. Hopefully this takes us from AFK gaming to something a little bit more active. Ah, and there he is, Prince Paul. No. We are going to have to rectify that as soon as possible. Western focus it is. Of course, a lot of my build is basically going to remain the same, just building up early industry, all the usual stuff. For this run, I think we're going to get started very early on setting up an agency. Osna in this case. It's not going to be super useful early on, but later it definitely will be. I'm really just picking this focus because it's 35 days instead of 70 days. Shorter is usually better. It seems we've got a pretty good operative here. Welcome aboard. And then after Prince Paul has managed to ensure he got some foreign capital for those consumer goods we got earlier, you could choose to go down the more historical evolution path, but the truth is I really think the limited self-government path actually has way more to offer. So let's dive in. In 35 days we can remove the production efficiency growth problem, but we lose Slovenia. Poor Slovenia. The Spanish Civil War, and now the pop-ups are on the bottom right. This is kind of an interesting new change, where instead of spamming you in the middle of the screen, you get your pop-ups on the right, which I think a lot of people maybe feel off about because change is spooky, but I'm kind of getting used to it now. I quite like the fact that it doesn't bother whatever you're doing in the center of the screen. Oh, Slovenia is free. At this point, you have an interesting choice to make between a united Croatia or a devolved Croatia, and there is actually an important difference. The left option gives you 4 militia units, which is going to be useful, or the right version gives you 2 states, each with independent generic focus trees. For what we're doing, I'm going to sacrifice 1 militia unit and see if we can benefit from some focus trees. Of course, a big problem with Yugoslavia in this period is the Croatian separatism. So the idea that we're just kind of devolving Croatia into 2 separate places to ensure they don't rise up against us is some interesting political maneuvering by Paul. What is he cooking? And there goes Croatia, and the wonderful coastal state of Dalmatia too. Next up is Bosnia, and it's the same choice again, 1 more militia unit or 2 generic focus trees. And I'm going to take the focus trees. As the border goal continues to really shape up, I do have to say I think Herzegovina is one of my favourite funny little nations in the game, just tucked away in Mostar. It seems next we've got Macedonia, Montenegro and Kosovo on the table. My goodness, we were completely destroying this nation. We've tore down 3 more places and Serbia is basically just Serbia. Finally, we have the option to deal with the Transylvania region and Banat. We could give the region to Romania and Hungary respectively for some opinion. We can even release them. But the problem is, signing the Tripartite Pact is where we're planning to go, and in doing so, the Allies are going to kind of cause a civil war, and there is a complete game over state if you don't have any other territory beyond Serbia, and these 2 states are basically all we're going to have left. This is a shame, of course, because there is some fun to be had with Transylvania, but it seems in this case, we're best just fortifying Banat. That makes me Novi sad. Speaking of which, it's about time we lay out our plans. This isn't just going to be an AFK game, so what we're going to need to do is start setting up some diplomatic pressure in Hungary, our first tasty target. Next up, let's sign the Tripartite Pact. We might become a little bit negative because of this. Surely the Allies will take this well. They did not take it well. Okay, so it's at this point where, again, historically, we should want to end the Regency and have Germany coming after us. But we're not going to be going historical. So, let's delete our entire army, and let's see that we still have some very blue looking units. Then we can click 2 arms, remove King Peter. As you can see from earlier, everything on the south side seems to be working against us, and everything on the north side is working with us. That's why we needed some core territory in these 2 regions. After that, let's just take all the units we can, and hopefully clear up this war super quick. This counts as a defensive war. I'll take it. Luckily, the other Serbia really shouldn't have any troops, so we should just be able to just walk straight in. Yeah, we can just walk straight in. If memory serves me correctly, you can just take your core territory and then end the entire conference without dealing with the puppets. You shouldn't gain any personal threat or world tension, but you should still keep the puppets. Yep, indeed you do. You keep all the puppets regardless. This is also good because it means their troops haven't been deleted. They still have those militia you gave them earlier. Finally, we can build an actual army for once. With our very short civil war done, we can now take the focus the coronation, and instead of allowing Peter to rise, Paul can rise instead. God save the king. Oh, the coronation. Though many still see King Paul as a usurper and more of a dictator than a worthy king, I say no. Long live the king. And now we get to be called Paul I. We are part of a fash party, but that isn't the worst thing in the world, because it does mean we can justify on Hungary, which is exactly what we're going to do. Okay, a true army starting to appear, sticking it on the Hungarian border. The Anschluss of Austria means we might have a slight German presence on our border, but it's nothing to worry about yet. Hungary wants rearmament? Ho ho ho! I don't think so. Absolutely no rearming. As the conflict with Hungary draws closer, I think it's time to call in some of those friends we have around the world. Not as many allies as I would have liked to have gotten from all of these sub-states, but they have excellent training level, and that's basically going to be super useful for pushing through into Hungary. The war goal justification is complete, as it casually says on the right. It might be interesting if you could customize which things appear here and which things appear in the middle, because missing a justification could be quite a tragedy. Regardless, I am confident this should be pretty easy. Oh yes, like butter. And that should be a 1 war. Easy peasy. So for this one, we're just going to puppet Hungary. There's really no reason to do anything else with it. If you really want, you can take the civs and the resources of iron in the north. It does give you 0.4% more fret, which isn't a gigaton, but it is something to bear in mind. That should be everything. I really like what they did with the peace conference system, so you can take resources from other people. 7 steel just isn't cutting it. So following the taking of Hungary, even though we didn't annex them, we have actually generated more than 10% world tension, and we are kind of a threat in the eyes of the allies. So it's at this time you might want to Netflix and chill for a little bit, just to let global tensions cool, or you can use this as your opportunity to finally join the Axis and join them in their endeavours. Neville Chamberlain has sent a social representative to say he doesn't like how we didn't do anything during the Treaty of Munich. My brother in Christ! I'm not exactly a Democrat. So I think enough time has passed after just casually AFKing doing some industry focuses, where we now have 5.9% fret, and I want to go after Bulgaria. That's my next target. So hopefully, with a 4% justification, this shouldn't be too bad. I also have diplomatic pressure to make sure things go a little bit easier. Oh, Germany goes after Poland. I believe we call that World War II. I am actually generating more than 2 political power per day, and I simply have nothing to spend it on. Like, they got rid of the way that research and production works. I'm basically going to be filling out my military staff. I'm really coming to an end. Okay, the justification is complete, and we actually did it without going above 10%. Which means this is a free entry. In we go. Of course, being at 100% world tension, people can still join factions. I just feel like Bulgaria is less likely to because they want to join the Axis. Oh, it's basically a massive breakthrough at this point. I'm not sure if you can stop this. Another easy victory for Yugoslavia. So I think I will be taking some of those factories. It's at this point you might want to consider joining the Axis. Luckily you've bided your time to be able to get some good claims in the Balkans. So Zara for Axis membership means you're in a much stronger position to start demanding things from the Axis. Let's see what Italy says. Italy has accepted, and that means we get a wonderful new state in Zadar. Sadly, it isn't actually our core though, so is there any reason to not give it to Dalmatia? Or in this case, give it to Croatia, I suppose. Or release the kingdom of Lombardy Venetia if you're really feeling like it. Of all the ways to start a Venice playthrough, is this the time? I think not. The final part of this focus tree, because it isn't necessarily the biggest focus tree in the world to talk about, is arguably the most important. There is the path a United Kingdom, which, if you get to the bottom, you can reunite the kingdoms. That's putting Yugoslavia back together again. But what's super interesting is this also works with Bulgaria and Hungary. That means you can annex and core Bulgaria and Hungary with that focus for free. This is why, as we've been going through, having more puppets is actually more useful, because when you come to annex them, the more focuses they've done to do with creating factories, you get to annex all of them, even the mega factory focuses. It seems Bulgaria is doing peaceful development. I wonder if that allows them to ask for a piece of Romania, even though they're technically my puppet. Well, I think I've delayed for long enough. We need to reunite the kingdoms, just to see what a Yugoslavia with some strength can look like. I am not sure how I feel about that Albania. Italy demands Dalmatia? Who do they think they are? We are literally in the Axis. They have problems. Oh my goodness. Well, it is certainly an interesting looking Yugoslavia. And yes, it is indeed called Bulgaria, and it has called Hungary. 1 million manpower in the bucket. We are significantly stronger than Italy. Like way stronger. And so it's at this point I actually want to take a pause, because this was kind of the key goal I wanted to show off today. How it's really interesting that Yugoslavia can call Hungary and Bulgaria, but also become really powerful. I mean, if you're looking to do the Yugoslavia achievement, going for these cores might be the difference between being too weak to do it and being good enough to do it. In addition, it also helps that you start off with 2 of the nations already taken without you even having to go to war with a major. As it would seem, every other core that you'd need to go to is actually being held by the Axis right now. So, to be honest, one of the most logical things you could consider doing is leaving the Axis and going to war with them. So before we end the video, I thought it could be kind of fun just to see exactly how big Yugoslavia could get, assuming they were to take full advantage of coring their puppets. So let's just speed some things up and take a look. Well, first up, we'd need to divide Yugoslavia back down to how it is in its little constituent parts. Next up, it would be nice if Italy could do me a favour and just hand back the territory that they probably don't deserve on the Yugoslavian coast. By taking claim Macedonia, we can make it so the Vardar Bonovia has a claim on Central Macedonia. So that looks a little bit better. Now, more importantly, let's get on to Hungary. I think Hungary probably has the most cause if it was to go Austria-Hungary, so turning off historical. There we go, that feels much better. Interestingly, one could argue that Romania has a part to play, because if you were to release Transylvania, then Romania could at some point be forced to return territory to them. Like so. The last beast on the board is Bulgaria, and they could probably do most of the remaining heavy lifting. At the bottom of the Bulgarian focus tree, there is the focus of the unification of the Balkans, which, sweet and short, is going to basically take care of everything we've missed. I believe that very strange looking Balkans area makes up the most of it. After that, we work our way down to reunite the kingdoms and see what happens. And so, if you are willing to do all of that madness, as it would seem, you could have a Yugoslavia which is possibly around this big. You could own Austria, all cored, Prague is cored, basically all of Romania is cored, all the way down to Greece, and even Constantinople itself. Of course, why you'd want to see a Yugoslavia as gigantic as this, I may never know. But with that, I will say thank you very much for watching this strange Yugoslavia video. I think King Paul did pretty well to grow as big as he did under historical circumstances. If you like this video or King Paul, well, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!